I'm Melissa Melton here with Jakari Jackson for InfoWars Nightly News. And I was sitting here just a little bit ago, we were talking about our demand to plan democide video that we just got done shooting, and doing some more research and came across something that blew both of our minds, and we had to share it with you both right now. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, Steve Watson wrote an article, The Economist calls for repealing the Second Amendment. If you want to come over here and take a look at this. The Economist had an article, Newtown's horror, only drastic gun control could make a big difference. Small measures can help a bit. Small measures, right? Then you scroll down a little bit into this article. If you want to be safer, it says, change the Constitution.
The same Constitution that keeps them safe to do the things that they want to do.
Exactly. So they want to change the Constitution, but they don't actually come out and say the Second Amendment. They just say change the Constitution. Well, let's fast forward to today, when just a little bit ago I came across this, which came out at 1 p.m.
Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair. This is in their politics section. Kurt Eichenwald, let's repeal the Second Amendment. And I'm going to scroll this article just a little bit if I can, because it's really long. Check this out. This is a really long plea to repeal our Second Amendment. It's not a joke. And the argument he's trying to make is right here on the subject of grammar. Let's start with the words that now exist. A well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Then he goes on to say that if you compare it with the bill at the National Archives, there's no comma behind militia. A well-regulated militia being, and somehow that comma being out of there changes the whole entire meaning, and therefore we don't deserve to have a Second Amendment. We don't have the right to keep and bear arms unless we're a well-regulated militia.
And that comma is going to keep you safe from threats, foreign and domestic as well.
Exactly, and so far we've seen a lot. Like if you go to Google News and you check it out, there's a lot of stuff on here that says repeal the Second Amendment, but all of these places, like for example the Huffington Post, they have one. Let's see if we can find it. It'll say time to repeal the Second Amendment, seriously, but they put it in their opinion section, the blog. So that way they can pass it off as if they're not the ones saying it, even though obviously they are, since it's on there. I mean, you've got another one here. Repeal the Second Amendment. Guns are not sacred, children are. This is on the statesmanjournal.com. However, it's filed under opinion, and that's how they get away with doing it. This new Vanity Fair piece, however, right here, scroll back up, this is just in their politics section. This is straight up, let's repeal the Second Amendment.
Exactly. And it's just more of the same. If we can look over here, you see Communist Chinese government calls for Americans to be disarmed. Yeah, I'm sure they'll love that. And if nothing else, let's just think about if we give up all of our guns, private citizens, that's why nobody wants to invade the United States. What's the quote? If we invaded the United States, there'd be a rifle behind every blade of grass. Nobody wants to parachute into here, and they're not going to try the Red Dawn scenario because that's pretty much target practice for us here in the United States of America. We have some more, if we can look at some of these other tabs. Media ignores shooting stopped by law-abiding gun owner. This is after Sandy Hook, but of course you're not going to hear about it on your mainstream channels. This is where somebody was armed, I believe it was an officer, had a concealed carry and stopped a shooting because they were armed.
Here's another one. Home Alone 12-year-old shoots intruder.
That's where everybody says kids should never hold a gun. See, this little girl was home alone in Oklahoma. Intruder busted in. She ran to the closet. She tried to hide herself. She didn't use the gun as the first act of defense, but the intruder came to the closet where she was. She shot the intruder, and she is still alive and well today. But of course, you're not going to hear about things like this. You're going to hear about these shootings, these school shootings, which they are tragedies. They are tragedies. But yeah, let's look at this one as well. This guy was, there at the mall. Somebody came in with a gun. This guy just pulled out his pistol. He didn't even fire it. He just pulled out his pistol. The gunman turned the gun on himself and ended his life.
And that was right after the shooting, too.
Yeah, and I bet you didn't hear about that.
You didn't hear about that at all.
On your mainstream channels.
What you will hear on the mainstream channels all the time is that we are bad because we want to have a Second Amendment.
Right.
We're demonized. We're the children killers.
You're the child killers. You're the racists.
Oh,
because
well,
only white people use guns is what they want you to believe.
Mr. Eichenwald actually says it right here at the bottom of the giant tome he's written to repealing our Second Amendment. Some gun owners, some will rage about this idea, saying that they have the right to protect themselves. Well, so do the rest of us, the right to protect ourselves from them. He's saying he has the right to protect himself from us because we're gun owners. But you know, Communist China's over here, they're calling for us to be disarmed. However, they've already had 76,702,000 people that were killed under Communist China. And that's what years were that? That was 1949 and 1987, they killed 76 million people.
Right.
Disarmed. They were disarmed. Hitler, those people disarmed. 21 million people.
Right.
Lenin, disarmed. Stalin, disarmed. Mao, disarmed. These people were disarmed. Pol Pot, disarmed. Millions of people died because the people were not armed. That's how that works. So saying they need to protect themselves from us is ridiculous. We are supposed to be able to protect ourselves from tyrannical government. That is the whole point of this amendment, which this guy is obviously missing while he's passing off this propaganda.
Yeah, they want you to think it's for duck hunting and, you know, all this other stuff. There's no word hunting in the Second Amendment. They say, well, you can't have wartime weapons. I mean, that's what you need to defend yourself. You go out there with a musket, you're not going to do too well against a standing army.
I don't see the government having muskets. The government is buying all kinds of weapons and billions
1 billion
of rounds of bullets. 1.6 billion, and that's just in addition to what they already own.
Right.
We've even got calls out for the Department of Education to buy guns. Why does the Department of Education need a gun? Okay,
right.
What the?
They need guns to defend the school, but if they wanted to do that,
they're not using them in the school. This is the Department of Education is the government. Is the federal government department. They're not teaching anybody anything.
Right.
I don't even know why they need guns. I tried to look it up. It said something about loans.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is about tyrannical government. That's the whole reason the Second Amendment was written, and people seem to be forgetting that completely.
Exactly. And it's more of the same what we've been hearing. You guys have been seeing a lot of propaganda since Sandy Hook. And those things definitely are tragedies, but they're every day. I mean, there's something that you don't hear on your mainstream outlets about people protecting themselves with firearms. And I don't know why people think that, you know, I believe the government, you know, they have guns for a reason. Police have guns, military have guns, but you notice calling 911 didn't save anybody at Sandy Hook. It didn't save anybody at Columbine, or at least it didn't drastically reduce the body count thereof. So this argument that only the government should have guns is pretty ridiculous, especially when you think about things like Kent State, where only the military had guns and only unarmed civilians were killed. But they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about Kent State and other. They don't want to talk about Fast and Furious.
Where are the statistics from that?
Yeah, but they want to get up here and cry about the kid. Well, I didn't actually see any tears come out of Obama's eyes, but you know, each his own. But yeah, they want to talk about that stuff, and it is a tragedy. But there's other people who protect themselves. They protect their families, and also kids, as we showed you, protect themselves in their homes.
Yeah, and throughout history, I mean, history has shown, especially in the 20th century, the biggest killer was government. It was democide. And most of those people were disarmed when that happened. That was the biggest killer. It wasn't cancer, it wasn't illnesses, it wasn't plague. Government was killing people. And now they're talking about repeal the Second Amendment, save us from each other. What you're going to have to save yourself from is the government, because they're going to be so, they have the most arms, they have the most bullets, they're going to have all the power, and we're just going to be defenseless.
Right, and I mean, the thing that you guys didn't hear about, well, maybe you did hear about it because it was somewhat of it was a big issue, but it didn't make too much news here in the States. That guy in China, I believe it was, ran around with a knife and slashed, 22 people at the school?
He locked himself in a kindergarten classroom and slashed up a bunch of kids.
With his fully automatic
oh, you're talking about shooting.
No, I'm joking. I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
She's
oh my God.
snarky
What?
and she couldn't catch my sarcasm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the guy with his fully automatic knife running around slashing people, but they don't want to talk about that. They won't talk about Sandy Hook. They won't talk about Columbine. Then you get these videos with these celebrities with their armed bodyguards living on compounds way out somewhere where you don't even know where they are, and they're telling you that you shouldn't have a gun. Well, to be fair to those celebrities, they said they want to demand a plan. This is my question to celebrities: what plan are you talking about? That's the next video I want to see. These mayors for gun control or whatever. That's the next video I want to see from all those celebrities in that video. What's the plan you were talking about? Because you guys have had a lot of criticism. You've got it from us. You've got it from Fox News. So what plan are you talking about? That's my challenge to these celebrities.
Yeah, is it the plan to keep making movies where you blow 100 people away and get paid fat cash to do so, and then turn around and talk about gun control?
Right. I mean, like, that video had two of the biggest action stars in the world right now. You know, I'm sure you guys can just watch the video and see. And they're telling you, right now, Demand a plan right now.
Right now.
I'm like, bro, why don't you stop making movies with
Where you're blowing
gun
people
violence
away
right
with
now?
guns.
Now, I'm not one of those people who think, if you watch a movie, play a video game that makes you violent, but I think it's real hypocritical of these people to make millions of dollars off these violent action movies where they promote gun violence as the main way to deal with the problem, with the threat, and then they say, right now, you should turn in your guns. But yeah, celebrities, make your new video. I'd be eager to see it. And hey, if you really come out and say what your plan is, I'll play it here on the InfoWars Nightly News.
And we need to call out this propaganda for what it is. Because the bottom line is the Second Amendment was written to protect us against government tyranny. It's not written to protect you basically against the guy down the street, and it's not written about hunting. The bottom line is they wrote that in there because they knew that's what this country was founded on. They knew what it was like to be in a tyrannical government situation where they take away people's guns. And the next thing that always happens historically is people die. Disarmed citizens is democide. People die. So I'm disgusted.
And the thing about me, it's got me about this Sandy Hook shooting even more than Columbine. I noticed everybody's blaming everybody except the guy who pulled the trigger, allegedly or whatever.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So
they don't
I mean,
even know.
it's Bushmaster's fault. Even though reports are saying now that he left that Bushmaster rifle in the car, he didn't even take it into school. That we'll see if that comes to light. They're blaming the gun. They're blaming the NRA. They're blaming everything except the guy who actually pulled the trigger.
No, they jumped right on. I mean,
they're blaming video games. I mean, it's everybody's fault.
Okay, when have you ever seen government work fast? And the president had a violence task force put together in what, like 4 days, 2 days?
Right.
That was already. I mean, obviously this was all a plot. I mean, from the get. But I mean, the bottom line is we need to figure out what the Second Amendment was for, because people seem to be forgetting that fact, and it has nothing. And to say semi-automatic rifle or semi-automatic weapons need to be banned, that just means a weapon fires a bullet every time you pull the trigger. That's like every weapon, every gun everybody has. That's basically a semi-automatic weapon.
Yeah, and I mean, like they try to make a big deal about it. I mean, the semi-automatic. Semi-automatic pistol is really no better than a revolver. Actually, I'd prefer a revolver because it's not going to jam.
And the bottom line is that they need to remember Connecticut had an assault weapons ban in place when this happened. And the guy stole the guns from his mom, so all this regulations and fingerprinting and all this stuff, that's not going to change anything.
I mean, criminals,
this would not have saved anybody.
Yeah, criminals are still going to get guns. I mean, look at all these other countries who have stricter gun laws than we do.
The UK.
People get guns. I mean, if you have a new weapons ban, all it's going to do is keep law-abiding citizens from being able to protect themselves and their family, and lo and behold, a tyrannical government. Because, well, I mean, what law would this guy following when he stole the gun from his mom, took it to a school, and then opened fire?
Yeah,
I mean,
broke in.
How many? That's
It's
3
like
felonies right
crimes.
there.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Before he even walked into school, the guy had at least 3
He already
felonies.
committed a bunch of crimes. Yeah,
I mean,
so it's not saving anybody.
No.
And the bottom line is this mainstream media is just continuously attacking our rights, and they're saying, give up your rights. You want the state to be the only ones with weapons. Well, all you need to do is go look it up. Check out history. Look it up.
I gotta say something. I'm tired of Barack Obama, our president, saying we and us and Americans agree with me, and we want this, and our country wants. I'm like, no, I don't want your brand, Barack Obama.
We aren't dropping bombs with drones in other countries.
Yeah, I'm not running guns into Mexico and drugs back out and then acting like it never happened. And
we aren't doing nothing.
I don't know if Eric Holder was involved in that before even Eric Holder was even mentioned as a suspect. Well, I don't know what Eric Holder's been doing down there. He didn't get up there and cry for those kids he kills with drones over there in Pakistan and all around the world.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. We aren't doing anything. I hope this article makes people buy more guns.
I bought some.
I'm about to go buy some guns.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's had the inverse effect.
I'm disgusted.
People are buying, and my deal is don't buy guns out of fear. I mean, don't rush out and just buy a gun just to have one. People say, I'm not even gonna say the names. You've heard people say,
don't buy guns out of fear, but exercise your rights while you still.
Oh yeah, definitely that. I'm not saying don't buy a gun. I'm just saying don't go buy a gun out of fear. And if you do go buy a gun, get trained. I mean, I'm not Rambo. I'm not tactically proficient, but I know basic class work. How to operate a gun. So, I mean, just don't let these people take your rights away.
I'll give up my gun when the government does.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, it's not
That's
like we're not pushing for a gun-free world.
You want some...
It's not like they're going to just blow up all guns and we go back to slingshots and all that. They're going to keep their guns.
Yeah, they are.
And Joe Biden's got a nice Beretta. He said himself he's
Dianne
pretty nice with
Feinstein's
it.
packing too.
Yeah.
But she wants to take your guns,
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. America.
Yeah, I mean, Obama's big SUV, I saw it on, what was it, Discovery History Channel, they got shotgun ports in the front seat. Those guys got some machine guns, but hey. And that's another thing.
And they're telling, as they're driving it down the street, you'll be safer without your gun.
Yeah. And then his kids go to a school with 11 armed guards. That sounds like a prison.
But my kids get to go to a gun-free zone.
Right.
Where obviously gun-free zone means absolutely nothing to somebody who wants to get a gun, illegally by the way, and shoot up a school if they want to. It's totally, so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
That's it. I'm just disgusted. For InfoWars Nightly News, I'm Melissa Mountain.
And I'm Jakari Jackson, and she is really mad.
Dang, I am mad. I'm mad. No.